here today at Electronica 2022, and I'm joined by Geoff from Astute Electronics.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you again. So we're here again, Electronica 2022. How has it been for you over the past few days?
Exceptionally good.
Yeah.
I think it's a catalyst for change coming out of COVID. People wanting to engage with people, find solutions for the current problems that they're facing, but also get back into the habit of having face-to-face meetings and just getting back to the old habits and trying to see what the global world's doing and certainly the technology, how it's moving. So I think it's been a real success seeing that there's evidence to say that people are back in the game and doing what they should be doing, which is great.
And from going to see your space and seeing the volume of people there, and you're so right in that business of engagement again and face-to-face, and how would you say that for Astute is really important in terms of the relationships that you have across the industry?
I think they're important in lots of aspects, not just the industry we serve, but people believe in trust and partnership and understanding what people's challenges are, and you can't do that remotely. There's certain bits you can cover, but ultimately it's a question of sitting down, working on a partnership that leads to an embedded relationship and facing those challenges together. There's nothing like sitting down with people, seeing who they are, and choosing the ones that you really want to engage with, because the industry is getting so big, it's so vast, you can't be all things to all people. But it's also great to share some of the stories and advice that you get from competitors, from the OCMs, from customers, and that's the other side of the coin. Where it's not one-dimensional. It's very much a case of where they're going, what challenges they're facing, what do they see as the geopolitical world changes and how that affects them, and it affects all of us actually. And that's great. We wouldn't have had that insight before. So. And
do you think that's probably down to COVID in terms of people having a bit of a reset in terms of how they do business, knowing how important it is to work together as opposed to hiding behind doors and protecting themselves, and knowing actually sharing that sense of vulnerability is a strength?
Well, I think COVID did a few things. It allowed business continuity through very, very difficult and challenging times. But it also created a cost down ability to do business that I believe the upside value of meeting people was lost in that translation. But also, the longer you do it, it becomes habit. And then you can get people that actually are frightened to get back in the game and re-engage, and socially they might find that quite intimidating. So it's very, very good, but now it comes back, and you've really got to build those relationships. You've got to see those people, and you've got to spend time, because ultimately when you travel to places, you go and see customers and whatever it is, by car, by plane, by boat, whatever, you also demonstrate a commitment to them. And I think that's where a lot of people are seeing the value now. They really want someone to help them and support them, know that they're in difficult times. And so I think hopefully going forward, we'll put COVID behind us, but we'll learn valuable lessons because of the behavioural patterns that we saw in COVID. And
you're so right in that, in terms of looking forward. So for 2023, for Astute, where would you like to see the next stage in that relationship, in that growth?
So I think everybody's challenges up until, obviously the component shortages have created a reactive environment through panic buying and having to pay exorbitant prices, and very much the chaotic challenges that were created. What we face, it's not actually we face, the opportunities that are arisen are innovation. And innovation is going to drive incredible opportunities. I mean, I'm 59 years old, and when I was growing up I loved Star Trek, and the only thing that hasn't actually come to pass is Beam Me Up Scotty. And it's amazing now what's happening in the world, whatever industry you're in, how electronics are starting to shape the future in all sorts of ways. Innovation has to drive the future, and the only way you can get ahead of that is making sure you've got enough visibility and line of sight into what these technologies are doing, where it's going. If you play catch up, you're already behind. So we really want to get ahead of that, and that's really exciting. And I just think there's so many clever people. I mean, one of the challenges, of course, we see is, and I've heard it a lot, is that people coming through universities is not enough. there's just not enough good people, clever people coming through, and we need to deal with that.
And how would you like to see that addressed? I mean, having had some panels with Mark Shanley and having conversations with Rich Ford and Andrew, and just knowing that obviously there is a real gap that needs to be filled. And is it a case of that we need to go back to the education stage, or is it that people can actually re-educate themselves? So, you know, can you look at someone who's post-grad who may not have thought of entering this industry before?
I think it's twofold. I think you've got to invest back into the university programs. The other thing is we need to entice and encourage people into this industry. And so I think it's twofold. You know, you want to develop people. If you invest in developing people, it takes many years. And then retention of those people. And that's a real challenge. So we've got to do all of those things. We've got to find creative ways to bring these people to the table. I think with the postgrad, yes, that's great, but I mean, when you go and look around the industry, and I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but the real experienced people, there's a reason they're experienced, because they're old, you know, and have been around a long while, and we have missed a generational gap, and we need to find, you know, what is that future going to look like? So we need to bring the youngsters through. We need to bring people from other industries into this, which is the fastest growing, biggest industry in the world. Why wouldn't you want to be part of it?
Absolutely. And also from a point of view, and I may get told off for this, women in the industry, which is obviously, I know, something that you also believe in immensely. And can you share a little bit of that in terms of some of the staff members that you have on board at the moment, and how you're kind of investing in them?
I'm a believer in just looking at talent. And I don't believe women really have had their fair share of opportunities necessarily in the boardroom, but in the engineering community, and we need to open our minds to that. I don't understand why we wouldn't. And in other countries, I was talking to one guy many months ago, and they were saying in a big boardroom meeting in Taiwan, they were all women. So it's different cultures, but we're a bit stayed in our ways, especially the Brits, you know what we like. I mean, we're a little bit, you know, we don't like change that much. So, but we need, if we're going to really take advantage of tomorrow's world, we're going to have to change our thinking today, because it's not going to wait for us. And
hopefully, by the sounds of things, Astute are going to lead the way in that, you know, because people will follow. I think it's a sense of that you're setting a trend. People don't want to be left behind now.
They can't afford to be left behind.
Exactly.
I've had 33 years, and probably in 31 of them, I was always being led, customer led, and thankfully my customers are the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. I owe them everything. I really appreciate all that support and advice and loyalty, which is huge. But now they need me to lead, and I need my people to stand up to that and lead and give advice and look at those technologies. And you need to be bold and brave to do that, because I suppose it's like politics. You know, you ask a question, no one gives you an answer. Well, everybody here has come to Electronica for answers, and there's no point sitting on the fence and not giving an answer. Even its opinion, maybe you get it wrong, give some substance and evidence about it. People will learn, they'll take it away, they'll make their own judgments, and that's what today, this week, yesterday, since Tuesday is all about.
Geoff, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's been really inspirational.
Thank you.
Thank you.